What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to DVDs, Nuts, and Popcorn. I'm your host, the PWM, the Physical Media Mac. And yes, I am back with another collection video. And although this channel is called DVDs, Nuts, and Popcorn, it's also called DVDs, Nuts, and Dashboard Noises. The annoying dashboard is back, baby. No, anyway, you guys have seen my Laserdisc collection, my Blu-ray horror collection, my DVD horror collection, and now the fourth installment, my Blu-ray non-horror collection, which will include fighters, comedies, sci-fi, action thrillers, the whole 9 yards. I'm bringing it to you today. Everything except for horror. Although I think there's a couple of horror movies in here because I forgot to show them off in my horror movie collection video. All right, it's a little bit earlier than I normally record. Not that it's, the roosters making, rooster sounds or anything like that, but I normally record in the afternoon. It is in the morning. Now, I want you to take a look on the internet and look at the United States heat index right now. I promise you, if you think it's hot where you're at, it is nothing compared to the hellfire that we live in down here in South Texas. It is absolutely miserable. I got shorted on ice at McDonald's today, but I made them put more ice in it. Wasn't having it today, guys. I was not having it. All right, now, the PWM got lazy. I did not put any of this in alphabetical order. So we're just going to go randomly. I'm going to show off movies. They could be comedy, action, whatnot. Nothing's in order here. Let's start off with cool release right here with the slip. We have Blast. Now, basically, this is it's another Die Hard ripoff, but it's done like at an Olympic Village. They take an Olympic Village, the swim team of I think it was the swim team of Olympic Village hostage. This guy right here, Lyndon Ashby, I believe was Johnny Cage in the Mortal Kombat movies. And basically, he works for the Olympics. He's like a security guard or some kind of blue-collar worker or whatever. But as it turns out, he used to be an Olympian, a really good martial arts tournament fighter, but then he got hurt. So he's like a gimp in the movie. And, he's there to save the day. Rutger Hauer is in this film. And just such a ridiculous end with him. He's helping the police, and he's in a wheelchair, and he's working from this van with all this high-tech stuff, trying to help the FBI or whoever's working on the Olympic Village terrorist situation. Cool film. Definitely something to look out for, guys. MVD visual. Taking way too much time with this one movie. I'm not going to show it off. All right. Any more than that. Next up here, we talked about this in a recent pickups video. And speaking of pickups videos, we're going to do one next week. This is replacing the pickups video for this week. We have 1987's Masters of the Universe. Really cool film starring Rutger Hauer. Rutger Hauer? What the hell am I saying? Dolph Lundgren. I'm still on the last movie, guys. But, this is a real fun, over-the-top, cheesy Masters of the Universe. I grew up on He-Man. Used to have a He-Man lunchbox, He-Man backpack. I had all the characters, Castle Grayskull. Loved the franchise. Loved the series. Now, I wish they would have done a sequel to this when Rutger Hauer was younger, but it never happened. Idiot. Canon film. This is the reason why Canon went bankrupt, basically. All right, one of the best prison films of all time, Bad Boys, with a young Sean Penn. It's also got Clancy Brown in it, who's a really good bad guy. I love Clancy Brown in films. Asaya Morales, who won, I believe he won an Academy Award for La Bamba. And he was also in Breaking Bad. Really good actor. Basically, it's Saya Morales going against Sean Penn in this film. I think Sean Penn kills his younger brother in a drug deal gone bad, and catches up to Sean Penn in prison. It's been a minute since I've seen that. Really good film, though. All right, movie that I've seen recently. It's pretty good. Nothing too insane. Although I am a huge Winghauser fan. Definitely love me some Winghauser. No homo. And yeah, we have Deadly Force. This is like a whodunit serial killer film. It's put out by Shout Factory. Let me see. Yeah, I think this is a Shout Factory release. Not bad, not bad. Speaking of Winghauser, I also picked this up recently. Vice Squad. And Winghauser plays a sadistic, murderous pimp in this film. And it's got to be one of his best roles, man. He is such a slimeball in this film. This came out in 1982. Really cool flick. That was what? That was a Scream Factory release. All right, everybody knows Predator. Is it Schwarzenegger's best film? What do you like better? Let me know in the comments below. Commando or Predator? All right, next up here. I think I've only seen... I can't remember which one I watched of this, but this is a spaghetti western double feature. I think I watched The Last Gun, but we have The Last Gun and $4 of Revenge. And I wasn't blown away by The Last Gun. Hopefully $4 of Revenge is better. I need to get around to watching that. How am I going to organize this? Put that up there. What's the guy's name? Is it? I think, yeah, Uwe Boll directed this. He gets trolled by people all the time. Critics bash his films. People consider him one of the worst film directors. I actually like some of his stuff, and this one right here is no exception to the rule. I can't remember the main actor in this. He went on to do some pretty good things. It might be Brendan Fletcher. I'm not sure. You guys probably won't be able to pick up on that photo. But that's him right there. And basically, you know, he armors himself up and goes on a rampage, hence the name of the film, and goes out there and tries to kill everybody in his town, basically. Let me see. Violent anti-hero Bill Williamson has a plan to change the world by exacting vengeance on the rich and ripping Washington apart. On the rich and ripping... That sentence does not make sense. He holds a number of people hostage and uses his captives as political platform to spread his message and awaken humanity. It's time to destroy the system, and change won't happen peacefully. I think he's just anti-government. Can't remember if there's like racism in this as well. But yeah, man, pretty effective film, man. Definitely check this one out. You can see I haven't even opened this. I watched it on streaming services, and I think I found this at $1.25 Bush. One of his better films, I would say. All right, another movie that I've not opened yet, but I've seen a million times coming up. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Sergio Leone's masterpiece with your boy Clint Eastwood. I grew up down the street, actually across the street from a kid named Clint Eastwood. And then we have another copy. This says it includes both the theatrical version and the unrated version of the film. Not sure what this, very similar releases, it looks like. And another Clint Eastwood film here, or two films, double feature. We have The Enforcer and Sudden Impact. Everything that he did back then was, he just hit it out of the park, man. He was on fire back then. These films were like in the 70s, right? I remember I used to hate on the 70s, but the 70s has such great films. I've taken that back a million times. The 70s, the 80s are got to be the greatest time in film. If you're an action, if you're a horror or action movie fan. I'm going to say this is the late 70s. I can't see it on the back here, but... Oh, no. This could be early 80s. It says 83. Oh, well, take it back. 80s. All right, next up here. This is a movie that I've never seen before, but it's supposed to have that first-person, frenetically paced action, Hardcore Henry. I think this is a $1.25 Bush pickup as well, aka Dollar Tree. I've heard decent stuff about it. And then we have I'm a huge fan of Cannon Films. And this is a documentary about Cannon Films that I've not checked out yet. The Go-Go Boys. The inside story of Cannon Films. Definitely need to check that out. Came with a slippity dip. Rolling right through this video. I remember feeling like this was okay, but I felt it was too a little bit too comedic for my taste. I wanted it to be a lot darker. Then we have, I'm pretty sure this is a $1.25 Bush pickup as well that I have not opened. The classic, The Road Warrior. Speaking of classics, I've probably watched this movie 100 times in my life. Stallone in First Blood. The beginning of the Rambo series. Big fan of Patrick Swayze. We have one of his not so beloved films, but I enjoyed it. It's got the bad guy in this is I was about to say roast beef for some reason. Meatloaf is the bad guy in this. Oh man, I'm losing my mind. Black Dog. I think Kevin Smith directed this. I believe Kevin Smith did the didn't Kevin Smith do the films with why am I forgetting them now? Like he's done like comedic movies, hasn't he? I can't remember the name of the movies. I feel like he did that Killer Clown film though too. I don't know. I remember this being pretty good. Red State. Says 3 teenage boys are lured to town of Cooper's Dell with the promise of a party, But instead of enjoying the night of their dreams, the teens are plunged into a nightmarish world of Pastor Abin Cooper and the 5 Points Trinity, a fundamentalist group with a stockpile of weaponry and a deadly moral agenda. So it's another one of those anti-government films. Why can't I think of what Kevin Smith directed? It's those films where the guys hang out by the damn gas station. Losing my mind. All right, another film that I've not seen before. Kind of shame on me for not watching this yet, man. This is a Robert Rodriguez film. It's supposed to be pretty damn good. Machete. Or Machete, as the cool kids like to say. Yeah, man. That's going to bother me, that Kevin Smith. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. I remember watching at least part of this. I think this was like a mini-series on... because I remember it having like several episodes, if I remember correctly. And I remember this being very well directed and some good shit. I look forward to revisiting this and seeing this from start to finish. And that's the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. All right, we have a good Western right here. This is I didn't know this until probably like a year ago, but this is a reboot of this, or a remake, because there's an old film called 310 to Yuma. I think it was like a black and white film, but this has Russell Crowe and Christian Bale in it. I enjoy that. PWM highly recommends. I give you that movie gets the PWM stamp of approval. That's what I'm trying to say. All right, next up, another PWM stamp of approval film, Tombstone. Who doesn't love Tombstone? One of the best Westerns of all time. Val Kilmer and our boy Kurt Russell. Got so many great actors in that movie. All right, another classic here, Karate Kid. Mr. Miyagi catching flies with chopsticks or some gangster shit. All right, next up, a movie that didn't really blow me away. You know, listen, I have a real soft spot in my heart for Double Dragon because I've put thousands of hours into Double Dragon as a kid, trying to get through Double Dragon 1, Double Dragon 2, and possibly Double Dragon 3. Absolutely adore the game, the franchise. Wanted this to be a little bit better. It was a little bit underwhelming to me. If I remember correctly, it was more comedy than action for my taste. All right, next up from Snaps Films, we have The Exterminator with my boy Robert Ginty. This is a really cool revenge flick, guys. I still need to see Exterminator 2, but yeah, this is a cool Snaps release. Just remember, whenever you open a Snaps movie guide like this, you will see pornos. Unrated director's cut. Christopher George, Robert Ginty, and Samantha Egger star in The Exterminator. James Clickenhouse's explosive story of Vietnam vet John Eastland. Yeah, man, all these Vietnam, post-Vietnam revenge flicks, I am all over them. They're right up my alley. And, yeah, man, shout out to everybody that went to Vietnam. The ones that went and came back, and the ones that died. Rest in peace to them. All right, this is a $1.25 book pickup as well. Stars Scott Adkins in the second film here. It has Kane Kasugi in it. That's a younger son of Kasugi Sr. From a lot of the, we'll actually show those films. We'll show those ninja films in a little while here. Obviously, Scott Adkins is a real martial artist. He's done a ton of movies. Most known, I think, for the Undisputed franchise. But these are supposed to be some good films, man. I need to get around to checking these out. Ninja 1 and Ninja 2. Shadow of a Tear. I don't know. Maybe he's not most known for Undisputed, but I think that's the first time he came onto my radar. All right, I'm not going to talk too much about this. If I don't procrastinate and I actually schedule this and get a small panel together, we will be doing a live stream celebrating Friedkin. Rest in peace, Friedkin just died. And yeah, man, this is, believe it or not, William Friedkin, of course, rest in peace. Believe it or not, this is the first time I've ever seen this film. But I want to do kind of a memorial service to William Friedkin, go over all his movies in reverse chronological order, talking about the most recent stuff he's did, and then work our way back. And hopefully I can get one or two guys, if not more, to watch, the main bulk of his filmography. I'd like to do this probably like in another month from now when, people have not completely forgot that the guy died, I want to do it a little bit fresh of his death. Now, so I won't say too much about this film, but, yeah, incredible movie. That's all I'm going to say for now. We'll talk in detail and length about it. Now, next up, post-apocalyptic collection here. I've seen 1990, The Bronx Warriors. I absolutely loved it. I need to see the next two films. This is a cool Blue Underground release here. And the next film, the other films are Escape from the Bronx and The New Barbarians. Very cool release there, guys. All right, this is a $1.25 Bush pickup, Scars of War. Speaking of Vietnam films, we have Casualties of War with Michael J. Fox and Sean Penn. Birdie with young Nicolas Cage. Can't remember the other guy's name. Oh, Matthew Modine. And then we have Alamo Bay, which I did see with a very young Ed Harris. Very young Ed Harris. And it also has, what is the chick in this? Amy Madigan. She's got some naked scenes in the movie. She's got some couple bee stings up top there. Now, the final movie here is Summer Tree with Michael Douglas. Now, I think Casualties of War is during Vietnam. Birdie is post-Vietnam. Alamo Bay is post-Vietnam. And then you get pre-Vietnam, Michael Douglas trying to dodge the draft. All right, we have Charles Bronson in Death Wish 4. I don't know, I don't remember which one it was, but I think the most gangster thing that Charles Bronson ever did was make this Puerto Rican guy swallow his own Rolex. By the way, this is a Canon film, if you guys didn't know. This might have been a $1.25 Bush pickup too, man. I'm making them look too good on this video. Rocky, the OG movie that Stallone wrote himself. It's a classic. It's a masterpiece, man, for sure. I was gifted this. I did watch it on streaming services before, and I remember liking it. A crackling, high-energy thriller that delivers from start to finish. Mel Gibson in Edge of Darkness. The bullet that killed his daughter was meant for Boston cop Thomas Craven, Mel Gibson. That's what Craven and police brass think. But that's not what the investigation finds. In fact, the search leads into a shadowy realm where money and politics intrigue intersect. Martin Campbell, Casino Royale, direct from a screenplay written by Andrew Bovelli and The Departed's William Mohannan. Boy, that was a mouthful. Next up we have Michael Shannon starring in The Iceman, which is based on a true story of this guy who worked for the mob, who, did hits for the mob. And I've always mentioned this. I love Ray Liotta as a bad guy, and he's definitely a bad guy in this film. So, yeah, man, definitely enjoyed this. Now, this guy, what is his name in the film? I can't remember what his name is. Let me see. Richard Kuklinski, I remember, did an HBO, he was on an HBO documentary where they were interviewing him from prison. And, yeah, you could just tell the guy was either he was the greatest liar in the world, or he was a very not badass, but a very intimidating and sadistic killer. They say that he might have lied about all the murders and stuff, but I don't know. The guy's doing life in prison, or I can't remember if he's died or what the fuck. He's never getting out of prison, so. Actually, you know what? I forgot I had this. When I was looking at this earlier, I was thinking that this was just the new Mad Max, but it's not. This is actually a really cool release here. Mad Max Anthology. So I got Mad Max, The Road Warrior, and Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, and then Mad Max Fury Road. It's got all four of them. Super badass. Just love the fact that Tina Turner was in the early films. You know, I would have loved to see Mel Gibson in Fury Road. That was my only problem with Fury Road. All right, we're getting to the bottom of this box, and we got one more box to show off here, guys. I don't know, we're talking probably 100-something films we're going over here. All right, next up, MVD Rewind Collection. Billy Blanks, Kevin Scott, Christine Taylor, and Ken McLeod. There is no other way. Showdown. Now, as I mentioned, Showdown stars Billy Blanks, Ken Scott, and Patrick Kilpatrick was one of my favorite baddies in films, who starred in Death Warrant with Claude Van Damme. Also, the beautiful Kristen Taylor is in this that I mentioned. She was in The Craft. And this is a complete Karate Kid ripoff, guys. Only difference is Billy Blanks replaces Miyagi, and Ken Scott's character replaces Daniel-san. Now, Billy Blanks is a janitor at the school, and again, Macho's character is played by Ken Scott, and then basically Kilpatrick's character plays Martin Cove's role in this film that Martin Cove did in Karate Kid. This is a really fun film, man. This definitely gets the PWM stamp of approval. And yeah, man, check that one out. It comes with a slip. I think they're basically just getting bullied at school, just like Karate Kid. I mean, it's the same. It's like a total snapshot of the Karate or total carbon copy of Karate Kid, but it's done so well. Now, I'm a big fan of Oliver Gruner. I probably am going to say that this is my favorite Oliver Gruner film, except for maybe Nemesis. I really enjoyed this one. Another MVD Rewind Collection release. His Justice is One-on-One. Angel Town. Now, this is a 1990 film. It's Oliver Gruner's first film. And Oliver Gruner is an exchange student, a foreign exchange student from France, and a former kickboxing champ. And he moves to the United States, and I think he's like a teacher there. That's what he's like went to school for or whatever. And there's no housing where he's at. So he has to go into the ghetto, like miles away from the school that he's working at, where no one wants to live, and there's like gang members and all kinds of gangs in this neighborhood. And he moves in with his family that's hard of luck. It's like a mother and she's a single parent, has a younger son. He starts mentoring the son, and the son's getting bullied, and gangs are... There's this one guy that, like back in the day when I was growing up, we used to get in fights all the time. We didn't pull guns on. And nowadays, like, people pull guns left and right. And this is kind of like the beginning of that, where this one gang member was watching all these guys. There's an interesting scene at the beginning of the movie where this Mexican gang member is watching these two cliques fight. And then all of a sudden, he sees these guys roll up in a van, and they pull out this Uzi, and they start shooting everybody. And then he becomes obsessed with guns and gets this Uzi. And I think they call him like the Uzi Man or something like that. And he runs around town with the Uzi. He literally never uses it. He just has the gun as a sign of power. All right, I'm talking too much about this movie. To me, this is the closest thing to Gruner, or this is the closest thing to Van Damme that Gruner has ever done. I could picture Van Damme being in this role, but I'm glad he's not. Gruner really knocks it out of the park. All right, why did I put Showdown back in there? I've already talked about Showdown. All right, let me get a sip here. All right, we're at 30 minutes. I put a bunch of these movies back in the box. All right, we'll leave those to the side so I don't get confused. This is another release. Oh, no, I was about to say another $1.25 Bush, but no, this is a Goodwill pickup, so I see the sticker there. Rocky. It's a different variant. Then we have a really fun comedic horror film from MVD here, Jack Frost. It's got another one that's so ridiculous where they go to like it's summertime and they're like on this Caribbean island, and all of a sudden Jack Frost shows up. Yeah, it's pretty hilarious. Killer snowman film, guys. Loved both of these movies. MVD's just knocking it out of the park, guys. We have Blood Fight and Ironheart. And what's it called? Bolo Young. So Bolo Young was first introduced to me in what was it? Enter the Dragon. He was one of the tournament fighters in Enter the Dragon, who ended up having to fight Bruce Lee, and he might have even killed what's it called in the film? The guy from Nightmare on Elm Street, the sheriff. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I think he might have killed him. But Bolo Young is just an amazing martial artist and an actor. He's been in so many great films. This is a really cool double feature. I think I preferred Ironheart over Blood Fight a little bit, but definitely highly recommend. Definitely get the PWM stamp of approval. Thank you, MVD. Now, this is kind of a weird release here. I've never even opened this one. And I'm not a big fan of the slipcover on this. Just super bland. And I don't know, I was going crazy on DVD releases at one point, and I bought it. It's called Final Justice. Just doesn't look very good, to be honest with you. It's got Joe Don Baker in it, which I do like as a baddie. I don't know if he's the antagonist in this or what's going on. At least the Blu-ray has color to it. The slip is just boring as all hell. Need to check it out. It might be good. Who knows? All right, where are we at here? I was trying to sell this for like 2 years on eBay, and no one would bite. I think it's like $9 or $7.99 or something like that. So I was like, you know what? I need taking it from my collection. Taken from my for my collection, if I can speak. And yeah, cool shit. This is a movie that was also gifted to me, and it's got Stone Cold. I've never gotten into Stone Cold films. I know he's trying to be an actor now. It's called The Condemned. 10 people will fight, 9 will die. Oh, this is a 4K, which I don't have a 4K player nor a TV, so. Oh, it's got the Blu-ray in here, though, so I guess it does count. We got glass. All right, this is, oh no, that's not it. All right, I'm a huge fan of William Dafoe, The Florida Project. Came out in 2017. I lived in Florida for 12 years. I got some of the best memories of my life were in Florida. And there were some hard times when I first moved out there. And the apartment complexes in these films remind me of where I used to live at. Of course, this is in Orlando. I was in Pompano Beach and Fort Lauderdale, Delray Beach, in those areas. But yeah, a lot of this reminds me of living in Florida. And even William Dafoe like plays a role in this film where he's, because I was in like the maintenance field and hotels and stuff for a long time. And he plays kind of a, he's more of a superintendent, but he reminds me of kind of like the jobs that I had to do when I worked for hotels and stuff. Really good shit, man. Check that out if you've not seen this. The actress in this film had never did any acting before in her life. Bria Venati, I believe. And they actually trained her on set. They had like an acting coach like on set. They saw her literally on Instagram or somewhere like that. And the director said, I want to meet her. And they met up. Brooklyn Prince is another. She plays the youngest, the young daughter of Bria in this. She does an amazing acting performance for a kid. Now, I forgot to show this off in my horror movie Blu-ray collection. This is basically a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a Spanish Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Actually pretty good with the waters left behind. It's got some, I was about to say hybrid or zombies. What am I trying to say here? You know, y'all know what I'm talking about. Same as Texas Chainsaw Massacre. People eating humans and, what is it called when they have sex with their own kind? They end up having, let me just read this because I'm totally butchering this. The town of Epecuan was flooded on November 10th, 1985. And was deep underwater for 30 years. When the waters receded, the town was still intact and stayed deserted, at least so they thought. A group of filmmakers take a trip to the ruins to film a documentary. Ignoring the warnings, they get stranded. One by one, they soon find out that you don't have to go to Texas for a massacre. Yeah, this was actually pretty good. It was gory, had some really good practical effects in it. Not bad. Not a bad Spanish horror film. Then we have a movie that everybody loved. I thought it was pretty good. Parasite. Or basically this family is a bunch of parasites. One of them starts working for like this rich family. And then somehow, one by one, he gets everybody fired working for this rich family and secretly gets everybody in his family one by one working for this family until they take over the house of the family. Like, they all live there, and like when they go out of town, they act like it's their house and stuff. Pretty interesting film. All right, next up here we have a double feature. Both of these are pretty good films, man. Drive Crazy with Nicolas Cage. I think this is Amanda Beard, isn't it? The one that shit the bed? Let me see. Oh, I'm sorry, Amber Heard. Yeah, Amber Heard. I want to say she was married to Johnny Depp, and he was talking about how she shit in his bed on purpose. She is at the height of her fineness right there in that photo. I don't know if that's CGI or what is going on. That's probably CGI. But anyway, basically, Nicolas Cage in this dies and goes to hell, and because he's Nicolas Cage, he escapes from hell in a muscle car. And yeah, it has like the devil chasing him down, trying to bring him back to hell. It's really insane. Now, Dredd, I really enjoyed Dredd. I thought it was a really fun film. In America of the post-apocalyptic future, Dredd, Carl Urban from Star Trek, and new partner Anderson Olivia Thirlby from The Darkest Hour are judges, the only force battling for justice when a ruthless crime boss, Lena Headey, Game of Thrones, tries to peddle a dangerous reality-altering drug. The two judges declare war in this unrelenting thrill ride. Yeah, somehow they have to go into like this project building, and this drug is like the new crack or whatever, the new like hottest drug on the streets, and everybody's like doped up on it, and they become locked into this little city where they can't get out of this project building, and they have to fight against hordes of these gangs. Really good shit. I enjoyed it. I'm gonna put that right here, because this movie right here, when I pause to grab the other box, I'm gonna think of the name of that. All right. All right, another MVD release here, guys. This is Killzone with Ted Pryor. David Pryor directed a lot of Ted Pryor films. Fritz Matthews was in a lot of those films as well. And basically, it's like another Vietnam film. Whether this is post or pre, it's kind of hard to say. I think it's post or during. It's really kind of confusing. But they set up like this training camp, and they're trying to teach the military that when you get caught by the Vietnamese and they're torturing you, not to give up vital information. So that's what they're being trained to do. But they're torturing this one guy so bad that he loses his mind because he thinks it's real, and then he escapes, and then it's like he turns into Rambo and he's trying to kill everybody on this platoon. Pretty good shit. Nothing too insane. All right, that's it for that box. I'm going to pop the trunk, grab the other box, and we'll continue in a second. Please hold. All right, now that I've had a second to think about it, Kevin Smith directed Clerks, and what I was thinking about with the movie, What the Waters Left Behind, cannibals was the word that I was trying to think of. Inbred cannibals, that's what the film is about. All right, now, moving on. Hobo with a Shotgun. This is Rutger Hauer, I think towards the end of his career. I think this is one of the last movies that he made. He's a grandfather in this one, I'm sure. And I don't remember this one a lot. I think I was probably had a few too many drinks when I watched this one. Probably have to revisit this one. All right, we talked about Ted Pryor earlier. This is another David Pryor directed film. This is my favorite Ted Pryor film, guys. Deadly Prey. And basically, I'll just read the back of it. The sadistic and psychopathic Colonel Hogan, David Campbell, the deadliest prey, relentless justice, is a mercenary for hire who finds a benefactor in Don Michelson, Troy Donahue, shock him dead, crybaby, a ruthless businessman in need of skilled killers for a special assignment. And basically that colonel, he has a training camp set up to train these guys. And what they do is they go kidnap people, regular citizens, and then they let them go, and then they hunt them in the forest with guns and knives, and it's one of those like surviving the game type of setups, right? So they basically kidnap Ted Pryor's character, and they don't know that Ted Pryor's taking out the garbage one day, and they don't realize that Ted Pryor is like 100 times more of a badass than Rambo is. And yeah, they definitely opened up a can of worms. So they let him go, and he ends up knowing who the colonel is. Is that how you say it? Colonel? It sounds weird. Psychopathic Colonel Hogan. I guess so. But anyway, he ends up knowing that guy. Like they knew each other in the military. So the funniest thing about this film is, I think it was like 20-something years later, they made Deadliest Prey, and David Campbell and Ted Pryor revised their roles in this film and in this franchise. And they did a Deadliest Prey movie, and it was basically the same as the first movie. It's like kind of like a reboot of it. But I enjoyed that one too, man. I thought it was good. Yeah, man, definitely one of my favorite films. Yeah, this is post-Vietnam. Post-Vietnam film. Fritz Matthews is also in this. I believe David Campbell's the bad guy. Yeah, he's got to be the bad guy. Good shit, man. All right. All right, watched this recently, man. Definitely enjoyed this. This is a cool Vestron release here with the slippity dip cover. Nick Nolte and Powers Booth. Powers Booth is one of my favorite actors of all time. He always plays like a really good baddie in films, and no exception to the rule here. And this is directed by the legendary director Walter Hill. Check it out. It's one of those Quentin Tarantino presents films that really doesn't mean anything at all, let's face it. And I've never even opened it. Hell Ride. A film that I've only seen in the last couple of years. Quentin Tarantino has this as his favorite movie in the last 20 years. Battle Royale. And I gotta say, I really enjoyed this one, man. I thought it was really well done. Highly enjoyable. Definitely gets the PWM stamp of approval. Check that one out if you guys have not seen that. Nothing Bad Can Happen. It's a Draft House Films release here. And basically this kid ends up being homeless, and he's like a teenager. He's kind of lost. And he's part of like this Christian group at first. So he's like, you know, really into God and stuff. And he meets this guy one day. I think his car broke down or something like that. He meets this guy, and you know, he doesn't know what to do. He's homeless at the time. And the guy says, hey, you can come live with me. And so he goes and lives with this guy. He has a family. He's got a daughter, a son, a wife. And the guy starts bullying him and treating him like shit. And he's like a man of God. So he's like, he just turns the other cheek. He never fights back. And it gets to the point where he's really doing some bad shit to this guy. And the wife ends up being a terrible person too. And she ends up helping the guy. They're like into like torturing this kid for no reason. And yeah, some pretty sick shit happens, man. Including him having to eat like one of the worst scenes. He has to eat, like they're like starving him. He's like living in a tent in the yard. And he like goes into the house and like, I don't know, like sneaks out some food or something like that. They find food in the trash. It's got mold growing all over the food like days later because it's hot in the sun. And they make him eat all the moldy food right in front of him at the table. It's really hard to watch. All right, next up here we have the classic Commando. It's got some of the best Schwarzenegger one-liners of all time. Speaking of classics, Kickboxer. Probably the second Van Damme film I've ever seen. Cyborg being the first. Bloodsport being the second or third. I can't remember. But definitely watch this second or third. It's an amazing film. It's been copied so many times by so many different directors. Alright, this is just a batshit crazy movie. Let me see. When Billy falls in a coma after a near fatal accident, she appears to be possessed by the soul of a woman who has unfinished business with the living. Yeah, this movie is definitely batshit crazy. It's your typical batshit crazy Nicolas Cage movie, guys. All right, we talked about Shane Kosugi earlier. This is the Sho Kosugi trilogy here. We have, and this has Franco Nero in this, who I'm a really big fan of. Enter the Ninja. Kino Lorber release here, guys. And I think this is the first time that I was introduced to Sho Kosugi. I'm such a huge fan of his now. But yeah, this is what started off the franchise. And then next up, he returns in this in the same role here. We have Revenge of the Ninja. Really good shit, man. This is one of my favorite trilogies of all time. And then the last but not least, I would say this is a little bit more cheesier than the other films. And I want to say Sho Kosugi's the bad guy in this one. Aerobics instructor Christy Ryder, Lucinda Dickey from Breakin' and Breakin' 2, Electric Boogaloo, becomes possessed by the spirit of an evil ninja when she comes to his aid after he was shot down. Dominated by the killer's vicious and relentless rage, she sets out to brutally attack his enemies. Her boyfriend, confused by Christina's changing personality and afraid that he might be the next victim, enlists the help of Yamada, Sho Kosugi. Oh no, he's not the bad guy. In a life-threatening exorcism, the ultimate fight to the death, Yamada proves that he is Christie's only chance for survival. This is so over the top and cheesy, but so fun. It's got such amazing like 80s music in it. Yeah, this is a 1984 film. And man, Lucinda Dickey is super hot. Yeah, this is so good. I don't want to talk about these films too much. Every one of these films just blew me away. Again, one of my favorite trilogies of all time. I mean, is there a better ninja trilogy than this? I think not. That's all I'm going to say. All right, a movie that I just become aware of in the last couple of years, and thank God that I did. Don't ever think that you've seen every movie and that there's not a movie out there that'll blow you away, because, you know, there's been a gazillion movies made, guys, and there's movies that you have not seen, that you do not know about, that are absolutely incredible. You got to do your due diligence and find these films, and I did with this one. It's called Death Machine. And I don't believe this had a U.S. release, except the Spanish version here, if you want to get it on Blu-ray. And this is an English language Spanish version, which I'm completely fine with. This has Brad Dourif in it as the bad guy. You might remember him from Child's Play. He was the, you know, the killer in the film that soul went into the Chucky doll. And he was also in the Lord of the Rings series, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Big fan of his. And basically what this is, they work for this, oh, this is all in Spanish. I can't even read the synopsis. They work for like this, this company that builds like these ultimate fighting robots that fight in these tournaments and stuff. And this Brad Dourif's character is like this mad genius scientist that creates these robots. Creates a robot that kills a couple of people, and he's just like a total like nutball guy. And Eli Puget, which is this tall drink of water right here, she is the CEO of the company. And after a couple of people die from this robot, she goes to fire this guy, and he's hacked into this high-tech facility that they're in, and he can lock like all the doors, and he's put a virus on the computer. He controls everything, and all of the sudden, so she's trapped, and these other people are trapped inside of this facility, and then he goes mad and releases this thing that he's been working on undercover. No one knows about it. And basically, it is a robotic dinosaur, Tyrannosaurus Rex, which is the most badass thing I've ever seen in film, guys. This thing is incredible. This movie right here reminds me of Terminator mixed with Jurassic Park. The teeth on this thing, when it's ready to kill you, it's like it snaps so fast. Like, it's so badass to watch. You got to check this film out, guys. This is a really fun movie. And the special effects on this dinosaur robot creature is second to none, man. For the money that they spent on it, this wasn't like a huge budget. This wasn't like a, you know, I mean, I'm kind of curious on what they spent on this movie. But whatever they spent is worth every dollar. They really pulled off some cool special effects in this film. Highly recommend. It's one of the most unknown films I've ever seen. They ended up being pretty freaking awesome. Speaking of awesome, we have cyborg film, maybe android film, Cherry 2000, where Melanie Griffith, a young Melanie Griffith, is a bounty hunter working for this rich guy. After his wife dies, she's trying to find a cyborg or android that looks exactly like his wife. It's kind of hard to explain. The guy from Trancers is in this. Tim Thomerson. I can't remember if Tim Thomerson's the rich guy or the bad guy in this film. It's been a while since I've seen it. But, yeah, I remember liking this one, man. Good film. Cherry 2000. Check it out. Get another sip here. Where are we at? 40, 50. We're probably coming up on an hour. Trying to race through these real quick here, guys. All right, I finally come around. Hold on one second. I don't know why. I felt like changing my hat. All right, I finally come around on the John Wick franchise. I've never seen any of the John Wick movies. So I decided to see John Wick, the first film. Really enjoyed it. I'm a huge fan of dogs. I'm a lover of dogs, and I have a beautiful German Shepherd. I have another dog that we saved from a shelter who's a mutt, but love both of those dogs. And if you kill one of my dogs, I'm coming after your ass, just like John Wick. Now, I have the John Wick 2 on Blu-ray. Still need to check that one out. And then John Wick 3 on Blu-ray. All right, we have the OG Peter Weller film here, or starring Peter Weller, RoboCop. First, I thought this was like a remake, but no, this is the OG Blu-ray release here. One of the best movies of all time. I said it. All right, speaking of best movies, this might be my favorite Oliver Gruner film, Nemesis. And of course, this is an Albert Pyun film. Rest in peace, Albert Pyun. And this was never opened. I watched this on, because I own this on Laserdisc. I've seen it a few times on Laserdisc. I probably do need to watch the Blu-ray transfer, because it goes hand in hand with this amazing MVD release with Nemesis 2, 3, and 4. Now, unfortunately, Oliver Gruner left the franchise after the first one. And what's the name of the bodybuilder? Probably going to say this wrong. Let me see. Oh, Sue Price. So Sue Price is the star after the first one. After, Gruner starred the first one, she's a star now, the leading antagonist. And she's an impressive woman. She's definitely built like a man. Impressive physique. I actually like these films. Definitely, it's not as good as the first one. None of these are as good as the first one. But I feel like this is a good trilogy right here. And Tim Thomerson is in one of them. I'm trying to remember. I think he might be in the second one, or Nemesis 3. Let me see. No, he's actually, he's in Nemesis 3. So he's the baddie in Nemesis 3. Love him as a baddie. And it's an interesting series, man. It's kind of hard to explain. I mean, Albert Pyun does everything himself. He does everything in real locations. He has real explosions. There's not too much CGI. He does as much practical effects as you can imagine. Most of the stuff's done in, real lighting, natural sunlight. And, he's one of those old school directors that you just don't find anymore. And much like, William Friedkin is, or was. Like it, man. Good shit, man. Definitely check him out. Some people will hate on those films, but I'm a big fan of the franchise. All right, where are we at here? Oh, shit. Let's drop that. Another MVD release. Man, I got a lot of MVD stuff. LA Wars. I enjoyed this one. I thought Vince Murdaco was pretty badass in it. Fun film. Definitely check that one out. Star Wars The Force Awakens. Nice to see some of the old characters back in the franchise. This is also gifted to me. It has Hellraiser Bloodline, Hellraiser Inferno, Hellraiser Hellseeker, and Hellraiser Hellworld. Definitely a cool Blu-ray release. Next up, we have a movie that I picked up that I procrastinated on watching. I started watching it. Man, I have a hard time. Whenever I see a movie's 2 hours plus, it's so grueling to get through it. But Dark City. Let me know if anybody's seen this, and are you a fan of it? Is it a really good film? Should I check it out? Next up here, man, this is a really interesting film. I actually enjoyed this one, man. Thou Shall Not Kill, Except. It says, when violence demands revenge. This is a Synopsis film release here, guys. Now, the interesting thing about this is it actually it stars Ted Raimi from the Evil Dead series, who directed the Evil Dead series and countless other films, right? He's like the main bad guy in this film. This is another Vietnam, I think post-Vietnam film. Vietnam, 1969. War is Hell. From Marine Sergeant Jack Strider. Brian Schultz. However, hell is just beginning. Trapped outside a Viet Cong village, Stryker takes 2 bullets to the leg. Sent home from the war, he discovers his ex-girlfriend, Cheryl Hansen, has been kidnapped by a religious cult with a vicious Manson-like leader, played by Evil Dead and Spider-Man trilogy director Sam Raimi. Sam Raimi is actually a good actor in this. I was very surprised that he could act. I never knew that he was an actor. All right, post-2000 Van Damme film here, Pound of Flesh. I have no clue. I'm assuming it's not very good. All right, post-2000, Nothing Happening Below the Waist, Steven Seagal here, Attrition. Then we have a movie that I really enjoyed, man. It's got Natasha Hendricks from, I think she was from, Species films. Y'all recognize her from Species. And then, of course, it's got our boy Christopher Lambert in there. Christopher Lambert's just, his acting is so great in this. Basically, this is like a post-apocalyptic, let me just read this. Let me see. This pulse-pounding action-adventure stars Christopher Lambert of Highlander as a police officer locked in a desperate do-or-die race against time. Teamed with rookie cop Natasha Hendricks from Species, he must quickly track down a savage killer who threatens the world. When the chase leads to the killer's dungeon, the hunters find they have become the hunted. Yeah, so, this person gets like this real bad virus, and it turns him into like a mutant, and it's Christopher Lambert's job and his rookie partner's job to keep this mutant quarantined in this abandoned city. If it gets out of the city, then it could pass this mutation, this virus, onto other peoples, and it would spread the planet, and it would end the world, or everybody would be turned into these mutants. So that's basically what they're doing, trying to hunt this mutant down and kill him. Yeah, man, I really like this film. I thought it was a really fun release there. I always forget what these are called. They're called Digipacks? I don't know. I can't remember. But anyway, yeah, I mean, this is a super dope release right here. Taxi Driver. And I think it's got all kinds of standee cards. Yeah, it's got the standee cards in it. I'm not going to go over all of it. That's that famous, iconic last scene of the movie. Look at that. That's a great little picture there. Yeah, definitely a legendary film. Movie that I need to go back and check out. I haven't seen it in a while. I'm never going to get these standees back in here. Yep, it's not going to happen. I'm going to go ahead and just shut it. Whoops. Okay, things are not shutting. I'll put that up here. All right, speaking of Peter Weller, this also has Christopher Christopher Collette and Terry Garr in it. A movie that I remember from my childhood. And I grew up with a stepdad. We were at odds all the time. So I completely relate to this film. Peter Weller comes in and starts dating Terry Garr, the mother of, and by the way, it didn't show on here, but one of the sons is Corey Haim in this, one of Corey Haim's early films. And so there's two brothers, single mother. Peter Weller woos her, picks her up off her feet, and ends up moving in the house like immediately. And they're like, who's this guy moving in the house? Well, you know, we're going to get married. This is going to be your stepdad. They initially are they don't like him at all, but then he starts buying them all kinds of stuff. And then the younger son, Corey Haim's character, starts liking him. But the older son's always seeing that something's not right. You know, Robert Downey Jr. is in this, by the way, as well. And Sarah Jessica Parker, all kinds of actors that became big actors post this. Peter Weller is dealing in drugs, and he's like sniffing cocaine, and you know, they're throwing parties in the house. He buys like this jukebox. He buys like a jukebox and like a pinball machine, and they're having parties, sniffing lines off the pinball machine. The older son's coming down the stairs and looking at this, and is really let down by the mother. So because it causes major friction in the the family, and good shit, man. I remember enjoying that one a lot. And I remember, it's been recent, so I've seen it. It's good shit. Peter Weller's a total asshole stepdad. I love it. All right, I'm a huge, massive fan of this movie, Streets of Fire, man. Just love it. And I'm trying to remember. This was, this was written by Walter Hill and directed by Walter Hill. Again, Walter Hill's had so many classics. And, this stars, William Dafoe's the baddie in this. I love William Dafoe. He plays such a good bad guy in this film. Michael Pierre is not the best actor in the world. He's kind of a bad actor, but by the way, he was in Bad Moon as well. And it's one of the films he was in. I don't know, his acting is very iffy, but he plays a cool role in this film. This has a young, what's her name? Why is it not showing? I hate when they don't show actors' names on the front. Oh, Rick Moranis is in this. He's really good in the film. Diane Lane, a young Diane Lane. The soundtrack is incredible in this film. I think some of the songs were written by, I want to say they got, let me see. Does it mention it on here? No, it doesn't mention it. I thought that they had the help of, see, it doesn't show. They had some really, I'll just put you this way. I'll put you this way. The soundtrack was just incredible in this film. You really believe that Diane Lane is this famous rock star. I'm gonna guess she's not really singing in it, but it's pretty incredible. She definitely pulls it off. And basically, she's kidnapped by William Dafoe, and her ex-boyfriend comes back into town, and basically, a bunch of people get together and pay him to go get her back. It's incredible, man. Just an incredible movie, man. I love it. All right, a movie that I've not seen, another Wolf Cop. That's a $1.25 Bush pickup. I don't even know if I've seen Wolf Cop, the first film. I would say this is top 3 hood classics. Menace to Society. If I were to put, and the only reason I'm saying this is probably because the director of this film said it himself, American Me is the greatest hood film of all time. But as far as black hood films, Boys in the Hood, I'm still going to put first. I'm putting this second. But if you take the black part out of it, include, white Spanish hood films, I would say for me at least, Boys in the Hood. I still put Menace second, and then I put American Me third. That's my list anyway. All right, speaking of black films, The Human Tornado. I realize I have 2 copies of this now. That was a $1.25 Bush pickup. Another $1.25 Bush pickup, Out of the Furnace. I think Christian Bale's best performance. Woody Harrelson's a great baddie in this film. Good shit. Speaking of the hood classic, Boys in the Hood. John Singleton's masterpiece. Rest in peace, John Singleton. And then we have Inglourious Bastards, a film that I've still not seen from start to finish. All right, moving on. Got a lot of films, guys. Have I seen this yet? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I watched it in preparation for Avatar 2. Yeah, I did. We have James Cameron's Avatar. I don't know. Would you guys consider this a masterpiece? Definitely it's a visual masterpiece. You'd never seen anything like it at the time. All right, George A. Romero's Knight Riders. Very interesting film. I enjoyed this. Has a young Ed Harris in it. And again, this has... Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was about to say Ted Raimi, but kind of a similar situation. Someone that you wouldn't think would be a great actor who's into, Tom Savini's the special effects for Friday the 13th and so many amazing films. He was actually he stole the show, I think, in this as an actor. But these guys are all like motorcyclists that are still living like in the past, like back in the days of knights and the Round Table. They're living that like fantasy. I thought this was really good, man. Interesting film. Next up, Dolph Lundgren in Red Scorpion. Yeah, man, this is a classic Synopsis Films release here. Love the cover art on that. Really cool shit. If I stop covering it up with my hand. All right, Sling Blade. Good shit. It's a movie that not everybody knows about. Long Weekend. Their crime was against nature, and nature found them guilty. Yeah, this is a nature against humans film. And basically this guy takes his wife out to go camping in the woods. She does not want to be there at all. She's complaining, bitching, whining the whole time. And he's out there just loving it. Out there killing animals, fishing, doing all kinds of shit. They're littering. And yeah, nature turns on them, and they get into a fight for their life against nature, man. Really cool shit, man. I like this one. From the writer of Road Games and Razorbacks comes the spooky little gem, presented in high definition transfer from original vault materials and remastered DTS HD MA 5.1 surround soundtrack created by Synapse Films. All right, wasn't that exciting? All right, yeah, I really enjoyed that. I mean, what can I say about Office Space? It's got Ghetto Boys, early Ghetto Boys soundtrack in it, man. Are you kidding me? That alone gives it the PMM stamp of approval. Early Mike Judge stuff. I mean, Mike Judge did what, the Beavis and Butthead series? Pretty sure that's true. All right, where are we at here? All right, a film that I really enjoyed. George Kennedy, Brian Thompson, and Oliver Reed, a film by Nico Mastorakis. Hired to Kill. This is an Arrow release, guys. I don't know why I keep covering. Good shit. I would recommend that one. It's always been one of my favorite comedies, man. I've probably seen this 20 times. Beer Fest. Really cool shit. Alright, this is I'm pretty sure this is another Vietnam film. War is hell. And to carry out this top secret mission, one soldier will make a deal with the devil. Italian Fright Master Antonio Margaretti of Cannibal Apocalypse turns to the horrors of war for this explosive action film set near the end of the Vietnam conflict. I'm not going to read any more of that because we're running out of time here, guys. But The Last War. Now, what sticks in my... This is a Code Red release. What sticks in my head... Or the Last Hunter, I'm sorry. What sticks in my head more than anything in this film, at one point, the main antagonist and some of his buddies, if I remember correctly, they are captured by the Vietnamese, and they live in like these they're in these bamboo like shacks, right? And then they have these cages underneath the bamboo shacks because they're on rivers. They throw the prisoners in these like waist, like chest high water levels, underneath the these bamboo shacks, right? And they start seeing these rats, these massive river rats, and these river rats are literally eating humans. They're tearing their flesh and cannibalizing these humans, and it is really hauntingly terrifying, guys. It's I almost want to put this with killer rat films. Those scenes are so scary in the film. The guys are screaming like bitches because they're so terrified of these rats, and I don't blame them, man. There's a scene right there where the guy's yelling because the rats are eating on him. So freaking badass. Definitely check that out. Check that film out. All right, I think I said one time I was going to own every movie with Force in it. That's probably why I picked this one up. It's got Chris Christopherson and Jan Michael Vincent in it. I have never seen it before. Vigilante Force. From 1976, guys. All right, because I live fairly close to Galveston, and that's my beach. We go there and get beach houses every year. Had to pick this one up. Actually, a pretty good film. What's the guy's name? Ben Foster of Hell or High Water. I think he's a really good actor. Says Foster gets his career best performance. And yeah, Roy Ben Foster, Hell or High Water, is a heavy drinking criminal enforcer. And oh yeah, that's right. He's a mob hitman. And something happens where Eli Fanning's character, he has to kill her, but he doesn't want to do it. So now the mob is going to kill him. And then this terrible hurricane rolls into Galveston. And yeah, I remember enjoying it, man. I thought it was a good film. All right, I grew up on this. I think I might have picked it up to flip it. Don't know if I'll keep it in the collection, but I think it's an Oliver Stone classic, Wall Street. This is what? The signature, filmmaker's signature series. All right, so I told you guys I loved, what the hell was it called? I'm losing my mind here. What was that movie where they drink all the beer? That's probably somewhere down here. I got way too much shit going on here. That's not here. Maybe it'll say on the back. I don't see it. Not Beer League. What's the name of the movie? I can't think of the name of it. Whatever. Super Troopers was the next movie that they made, and to be honest with you, I'm not a massive fan of this film. I thought it was pretty good, but it didn't blow me away like people told me about it. People told me it was like the greatest thing since, I don't even know. The Hangover. Getting into some comedies here. Step Brothers. Who doesn't love Step Brothers, man? Such a funny film, man. I love, very underrated. I've become a huge fan of his in recent years, but what is the name of the guy? Why is it so hard to find the actors' names in here? Oh, John C. Reilly. Really big fan of his now, man. He's so good in this. All right, 5 films to go here, guys. I'm going to let you go. Video's definitely ran long. All right, another comedy that I really like, Bad Santa. So many funny scenes in that. Ted. Talladega Nights. What do you have? One of his sons' name is Texas. One of his sons' name is Walker. Texas Walker. I don't know. There's so many fun scenes in that. Hot Tub Time Machine. Good shit, man. Definitely some good shit. I'm not going to put this, last but not least here, I'm not going to put this up with some of the Cheech and Chong films. I don't think it's as good, but I think it's pretty good. I'm not a huge fan of Seth Rogen, to be honest with you, but this is pretty good. Pineapple Express. All right, guys, that's it. That's my non-horror Blu-ray collection. And next up, I'm going to be bringing you, well, I'll do a pickups video next week, and then the following week I'll do, which is going to be a lot more movies than this, is my non-horror DVD collection. And then we'll have come full circle. That'll be every single movie that I own in my collection. You guys will have seen it in the car. I'm the PMM, the Physical Media Mac, and I will be back. It's physical media or die, guys. And I will see you guys in the next video. Good luck out there finding whatever physical media that you're looking for. Have a great rest of your Sunday, guys. And have a great week. And I'll talk to you guys next weekend.